All right, we got a couple of beefcakes to test here. This is the Assassin 3 from Deepcool. It's massive 7 nickel-plated copper heat pipes, $100 price tag. And then we have the Noctua NH-U12A, a bit more conservative, and it also has 7 nickel-plated copper heat pipes. It is also priced at $100 USD, but it is significantly more conservative. You can see how much smaller it is. It comes with 2 120mm fans, whereas the Assassin 3 comes with 2 140mm fans. So why am I comparing these two if they look so different in terms of size, and you would think at first glance that this is the better cooler? I'm comparing them because they are priced the same. That is the logic behind this comparison. So if you're wondering, you're like, oh, why did you choose to compare it to the U12A? You should have chosen the Noctua NH-D15. Well, for one, the Noctua NH-D15 and the U12A are pretty similar in terms of cooling potential. And for two, they're priced the same. Again, keep going back to price. So $100 here or $100 here does not matter to me. What we're gonna do in this video is figure out which is the better cooler for the price and determine which is the better buy overall. Stay tuned. If you're upset about that inconsiderate Windows activation watermark plaguing your screen, snag an OEM license. SCDKey makes it simple. You have one in a few seconds for a little over $10, then click here, 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 and then here, paste your activation key, and you can kiss that watermark goodbye. And be sure to use my new offer code GSL for a 12% discount on your order. So I want to start off with the Deepcool Assassin 3 again. This is a dual tower air cooler, and it is massive. It does actually have pretty excellent clearance for RAM though, which I was delighted to see. You could even stuff something that was, I don't know, as gaudy as Corsair Dom Platts under here, and you'd still have a little bit of room to spare. You can see my low profile memory here fit no problem, and you still had an inch to go above that. 7 nickel-plated copper heat pipes, like I said, these are the same diameter as the ones found on the U12A, so there's really no difference there. Again, the only structural difference is the fact that this is a twin tower cooler, meaning you have individual fin stacks that are not conjoined at the middle. They're just conjoined, I guess, at the heat pipe and the cold plate level. So this is definitely a more liberal cooler with respect to size. And I want to get out of the way up front the fact that you might have some clearance issues with some larger cases if you want to run the 140mm fans in here. The center 140mm fan will be fine, but if you have taller RAM, the front 140mm fan will have to be pushed up, and that means that it could potentially be impacted by your left side panel, depending on the case, again. So something smaller like an H500 might not be, might not be enough space there, but a bigger full-size tower, I imagine you would have no problem. Now on to the Noctua NH-U12A. I've got to say, these two weigh barely, I mean, there's not much of a difference in terms of weight. I'm kind of surprised because this is a significantly bigger cooler. Maybe it's just because it's a wider cooler as well, but this is a beefcake. It's really heavy, it's really compact, and it just gives you the idea that it's built well. And Noctua products, for the most part, are. So I would have no reason to question what Noctua has done here with respect to size and even price at that. They know what they're doing, and they understand that at $100, there is a ton of competition in the large air-cooled space. So I think that that's another reason why showing the U12A in these kinds of larger air-cooled comparisons is important, because what Noctua has done here with the U12A is extremely impressive. Getting this much cooling potential packed into such a small form factor. It's one of the reasons why I like it so much. So anyway, same thing like I said before, 7 nickel-plated copper heat pipes. It's just 1 fin stack this time instead of 2. You can see the fin stacks are closed in completely on the side, so you get that more like wind tunnel effect. And the 2 included 120mm fans are super quiet. They are so quiet, much quieter than even the 140mm fans included in the Assassin 3. I went ahead and recorded both under load. You guys can check them out now. For our cooling test, I was sure to use the exact same CPU. Obviously, literally everything was the same except for the cooler. That was the only variable that I manipulated. Even the carbonate pad that I used was super consistent. I say that in pretty much it's the same pre-roll that we run over and over, but carbonate pads are extremely consistent because they don't change shape. They are just reliant on mounting pressure. So I guess you could say that the only real variable apart from the change in cooler is the fact that each cooler has its own variation of mounting pressure based on how far you can torque these Phillips screws. So depending on which one of these is torqued down harder, that would basically determine the effectiveness of the carbonate pad. That's something I wanted to bring up because that's just the nature of carbon pads, little carbon fibers that are smushed down. The more smushed they become, the more effective those fibers are at transferring heat. Anyway, the cooler is performed identically. The same 86-degree peak single core temp. I think it was core 5 that was the hottest in my test, and it was the exact same core for both coolers as well, so we were consistent in that regard. Also, the sound, I actually mapped it, but you can see how quiet the Noctua cooler was. By comparison, 46.1 dB versus 49.6. That is noticeable to the human ear, folks. Remember, this is a logarithmic scale, so this graph is slightly deceiving in the way that it's presented, but showing this logarithmically would also be kind of, I don't know, it's difficult to show on a bar graph. Anyway, Noctua cooler was significantly quieter. That's what I can tell you. So yeah, 86 degrees for both coolers. I've got to say, despite the Assassin 3's size, I expected it to be the better performer. I don't think this is a testament though to how inefficient the Assassin 3 is. I think it's just a testament to how good the U12A is for its size. So if you're looking for something that is a bit more compatible all around with components in your system or your case overall, the Noctua NH-U12A is the better bet. There is one downside to choosing the Noctua over the Assassin, and that's looks, in my opinion. If you're an aesthetic person, it's totally fine. It's how you spend your money. I mean, the Assassin 3 looks better, especially from above. This is how you will see it in your case more than likely. And the Noctua cooler is just pure performance. That's really what it's about. It's about performance, about keeping your system as cool as possible. And they've done a great job with it. They've just, in order to keep the price at least around $100 instead of maybe 110 or 120, is cheap out on the aesthetics. They could have maybe painted it black, use that ceramic coating that doesn't really inhibit the transfer of heat to the air. They could have maybe put a plastic cap over the tops of each of these heat pipes, but I'm not going to complain. The amount of performance we're getting in the U12A for the price is incredible. And look, the Assassin 3 is still a great cooler. I think at $100, you're getting some of the best. The NH-D15 would be another option. I imagine that would be a quieter cooler than the Assassin 3, but again, they're both pretty large, and the Assassin 3, in my opinion, looks better. So you have to, that one's more of a toss-up. But the U12A is in a class of its own, in my opinion. This is the best small air cooler I've ever tested, I'm pretty sure. And for $100, I think it's money well spent. So which do I recommend? Most of you are going to be better off with the U12A. If I'm just speaking plainly, it is really good for the size. But the Assassin 3 is one of those coolers that looks pretty darn good and definitely makes a statement in any case because it is so large. I'd like to see Deepcool do even more with this design in the future. Maybe lower the cooler a bit so it's a bit more compatible, especially with the 140mm fan up front. Maybe swap that to a 120mm next time around so that the height clearance isn't as big an issue for smaller cases, and that'll be one heck of a cooler. It already is, but for $100, most of you, I think, would prefer the U12A. I've linked both down below. I know this is kind of a short review, but really all you care about is the looks, the sound, and the cooling potential. And hopefully you got all of that in this video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you thought it was cool. I appreciate that. Click the red subscribe button if you haven't already. I'll wait. And I'll catch you in the next one. My name's Greg. Thanks for learning with me.